Hey, what's going on guys? TheKrowSama here, and we have a review for you today. This is going to be on the high-grade Universal Century Silver Bullet Suppressor from the movie Gundam Narrative. Now, this is a really cool looking mobile suit. It's basically based on the Silver Bullet, which was also based on the Dovin Wolf. And that's going to be very evident by the runners, because most of the runners are going to be reused from those two kits in 2013. Well, you know, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that it's reusing so many different parts, because it's a semi-solid kit, I should say. Just my first initial thoughts. It's fairly solid. The only problems it's going to have is maybe some loose joints here and there. So it's going to have a couple of problems standing up, not only because of the loose joints, but also because of that weight in the backpack, which I'll definitely go over. Regardless though, I think it's a fairly decent mobile suit, and I'm going to take this time to actually explain it all to you on why I think it is actually fairly decent. So the first thing I want to get into is going to be the details. And we'll take a look at the head sculpt first. Overall, it's going to look really good. The only sticker you're going to have is going to be for the eyes, so that's going to be just some red eyes. I do like that. I think it's a more menacing, kind of intimidating looking appearance. And it's also going to have 6 antennas. I don't really know why that is. Hey, let me know in the comment section below exactly why it has 6 antennas. I was doing a little research, and I can't exactly figure out why. They just state it has antennas. I'm like, okay, cool. But regardless, the top little camera right there is actually going to be a molded piece, which is very welcoming in terms of high grades, because that is generally going to be stickers. Even some master grades are generally going to be stickers. But regardless, you're going to have some Vulcans that are etched into, will kind of mold it into the side of the head. Pretty cool. I would just say maybe take some of that off and then do some detail painting. That would definitely bring it out a little bit more, because otherwise it's kind of blend in with the head, and yeah, you're really not going to see it that much. Now, looking at the body sculpt is going to be fairly plain, to be honest. You're going to have some nice ventilation right inside here, which I would, I probably personally would paint it maybe silver or even black. That would, bring it out just a little bit more, preferably silver though. And then just on the sides, you're not really going to have much in terms of detailing, just a lot of bulky parts. And that's pretty much all you're getting. So you are going to have a lot of the surface detail here. If you want to etch in some panels, definitely do so. You're not really going to have any kind of problems doing that. And even so, go as far as doing some color separation if you really want. But that's pretty much it on the main body. So we'll take a look at the arm details. We're actually looking at the shoulders first. You're going to have some, these kind of raised platforms, I would say, like these just little extra armor bits on top of the shoulders. Something that you can probably just mask off and then paint it a different color. Maybe like a gray or some kind of like offset of a black. That would probably look really good. And then also you can paint inside here, which I'm not sure if that's like supposed to be a thruster or not. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm pretty sure like there's, probably black on the inside of there. Then just looking on the regular arms, you're obviously going to notice that this is going to have that armor piece. And that's because that this arm is going to be interchangeable and this one is going to not be interchangeable. But basically because of all the recoil that the Beam Magnum actually emits, this is going to be destroyed. Thus, you're going to have to take it off like so, and then replace it with a new arm, which is a very cool function that we will explore a little bit later in the video. But otherwise, you are going to have some little areas right here that you can paint. So this, I'm pretty sure, are thrusters in the back of the arm, kind of much like the Silver Bullet was able to do. But you can paint inside there. You can also paint maybe around here. You want to paint some of these little piston-looking items. I'm not really too sure exactly what these little things are supposed to be. But if you want to paint those kind of like maybe copper or gold or bronze, you can definitely do so. And I think it's going to come out pretty nice looking. So take a look at the details on the waist. You're obviously going to see that there's going to be some purple right here, which are going to be stickers. So for the front and the back on these kind of like side skirts, I would say, but they're on the hips. So it's kind of weird if you would call them like side skirts, because they're not necessarily on the actual waist. They're more on the legs. But I'm just kind of including it because it's in that region. But the front right here is obviously going to have some little raised effects right here. So if you want to just, once again, mask that off, paint it different colors, I think it's going to come out a little bit better. You're also going to have some thrusters right here on the side. I'm not too happy with the way that the kind of waist is constructed. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan. There's no like side skirt movement. There's no articulation. It kind of looks a little weird, but I think if you just add a little extra detail, it's probably gonna come out for the best. So now we're looking at the legs. You know, these are some beautiful legs. I'm not even gonna lie. These are some of the best looking mobile suit legs I've seen in quite a while, to be honest. I just love how ambitious it is. There's a lot of just craziness going on here. Some things I don't really even know why it exists. Like these front things right here on the legs, I don't know what the purpose is, unless whenever he's doing some kneeling positions, then it kind of just adds as more stability. That's kind of like the best thing I can think of, and that's probably what it actually is for, is, you know, whenever he's getting those nice bended kind of positions, this is just adding that stability. So more than likely that's actually the purpose behind that. You're gonna have some nice thrusters right here on the back, which I would probably recommend to paint in. You're gonna have some purple stickers here on the back. I guess these little thruster flaps. And looking forward on the sides, well, looking forward and then on the sides, sides are gonna have these purple stickers. As you can see, they're not too bad. You can easily just paint that yourself, because the part right here is actually raised. So I mean, masking and then just painting purple is going to be an easy task. And then once again, another raised part right here, but you're gonna slap a little black sticker right there on the front. And then on the side skirts, you're gonna have these white stickers, which I don't really think look that great. Maybe on camera they look okay, but kind of in person, you can see how they wrap around the part itself. I just personally don't think that looks good whatsoever. So maybe bust out them paints and, you know, just kind of make it look a little better. So we're looking over here on these sides. I just want to kind of, you know, showcase a little bit more of these details. So you are going to have these little raised effects, and some of these ones that are like more indented into the plastic. I think this is a good opportunity to paint some, like, you know, different colors on the inside, because otherwise this black really isn't going to showcase this that well. I mean, you'll see it, but if you're kind of like not putting it in the right angle, especially for the light to hit it, you're just not going to see those parts. So if you paint all that in, it's just really going to like break up the entire part itself. It's just going to add more kind of like a dimensional depth to the part, if you ask me. Overall though, the more bottom of the legs, like there's not really going to be too much details here. You got this up here that you can just paint black and just you know, omit the sticker altogether. The thrusters themselves are going to look really good, so maybe paint that silver and then paint on the inside like blue or red. Probably red would be a little more preferred, just to kind of like match the color. And then just, you know, kind of looking all over the legs, the feet. They are not looking too bad. I would say there's a lot of good places for you to just like color in, maybe on the inside where these white parts are. I would just say, you know, paint some black inside there. And then underneath the feet, not really too much going on, but, you know, once again, you can still paint like this a different color. But I know some people kind of just omit the overall painting underneath the feet, in terms of details at least. But yeah, that's pretty much it for these legs. So looking at the articulation, the head is going to be on a ball joint and can move back and forth. Looking at the shoulders, this is going to be on a independent kind of like rotation right there. So the arm just slaps right over this part. So I mean, it's a little bit loose, but yeah, you can definitely move it back and forth. And then for the arms, obviously you're going to have a nice little bicep swivel, rotate it up, can move all the way around. Not really having too much of a forward movement, which is a little bit unfortunate in my opinion. Then you're going to have multiple points of articulation right here in the elbow, so you can achieve a little bit decent bend right there. And then obviously the hands are going to be on little ball joints. And looking at the waist, you are going to have a ball joint, so it can move pretty much all the way around. Legs can move out. They can move forward quite a bit if you're going around the actual front skirts. And they can move backwards quite a bit actually. Rotation at the hip. Now the knee bend is not that great in my opinion. It's barely even 90 degrees. So, I mean, that kind of sucks, but you're going to have a lot of, you know, junk over here just kind of limiting everything you can do. These thruster flaps can move. These knee stabilizers, I would call them, they can move back and forth. Ankle skirt can move forward. Foot can move back and forth quite a bit. It's also going to be on a ball joint, so it definitely has a good range of movement. Now looking at the backpack, you are going to have these 4 arms right there, one of which is actually going to have the articulation as the one that's on the mobile suit currently. You're going to have these little thrusters right here, which do have their own individual movement. Not really much in surface detail. You're going to have a couple of things right there, but it's not really too much. You're going to have these parts right here, which you can easily paint in. The top, everything is not looking too good in my opinion. It's like pretty much solid pieces. You could paint a line right inside here or just etch in some stuff. And then you're going to have some thrusters right there. But for the most part, this thing is going to be a block and not going to have much in terms of articulation and movement. So you're kind of just going to have to live with this giant brick of a backpack. Now in terms of accessories, you are going to get these open hands that you can essentially put beam sabers in, if it did come with beam sabers, in which it doesn't. You also get these open hands. And you're also going to have this Beam Magnum with a trigger finger. So overall, it is going to look really nice. It's going to have some pretty good etched in details. 5 shots right there that it can utilize. And then you're going to have this rotating handle, so you can just have it grab it with the other hand. Now for the scope, you're not going to have any kind of stickers, so you are going to have to paint that in. I mean, most of this you're going to have to paint in anyways because it's supposed to be blue. So yeah, maybe want to bust out them paints, do a little bit of painting. Definitely test out your abilities, etch in some, not etch in, but paint some details right inside that Beam Magnum. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of accessories. Now you are going to have some extra plastic from the 2013 Dove and Wolf as well as the Silver Bullet. So you can do whatever you want. You're going to have an extra little weapon right here. And you're going to have some different leg parts. But for the most part, I mean, for me personally, I kind of would just take the weapon and discard everything else. You're also going to have some parts from the Unicorn. So you got some thrusters, feet, an extra little magazine right there. But that's pretty much it for all that extra plastic. So with the backpack on, it does tend to be a little back heavy, but I think for the most part, if you get it at the right angle, it won't be too bad. But also, you're going to have these waist bits that are just, oh man, they're super weak. So just whenever you do get the backpack on, be careful. Okay, so now we're looking at the backpack mechanism. Obviously, this is going to have some pretty good points of articulation, but you really need to do this in a very particular way. So probably the way you're going to want to do this is make sure that this part is like this. Then you're going to slide this all the way to the back. This is going to come over here. And I mean, obviously this is a plastic model, so it would definitely function a lot easier if this was a real machine. But it's going to come in and it's going to hook right behind the arm. And what you want to do is you want to pop this out. Now it's a little firm in there, so you might have to just kind of, there you go. So you just kind of force it a little bit. Now it's going to pop off because obviously there's not a very solid grip with this claw on the backpack. So basically going to be like that, and you're going to rotate this kind of just forward. Now obviously let's pop this arm off as if it was destroyed, and then you're going to rotate this entire arm forward like so, and it's just going to pop right there in the arm. But it's not working, so let's just get right inside there, and that's it. So it's not necessarily hard, it's just kind of like not practical whatsoever. So just pop the arm off the old-fashioned way and then pop it on there. But unless you're doing like stop motion or it's something that you really need to do for whatever reason, then it's going to be a little bit of a hassle. But otherwise, I mean, popping this in and out on the backpack and the arms is pretty seamless. Now another thing I want to talk about with this kit is that you can see pretty much on many parts of this kit there's going to be a lot of nub kind of just like residue or visibility of where the nubs were. So it's going to be a little bit like right up here, right there, and that's, I mean, it's mainly because this is a black kit. So I did do my best at shaving these nubs off. If you're painting it, then obviously if you just get that smooth surface, then that white residue really won't matter too much. But overall, I mean, you can kind of see it here and there on some parts. The actual gate placement is not going to be super good. So I did my best at shaving all those nubs to give it a very clean look, but you're still going to have a little bit here and there, just kind of like riddled all over the kit. But ultimately, it's not horrible, but a lot of these parts are going to be in just bad places, to be honest. Now in terms of height and comparisons, here he is next to the high grade narrative Gundam, and also the big boy Alex 2.0. So he's definitely pretty tall for a high grade, almost in comparison to a master grade, maybe just a smaller master grade. So for my final thoughts on this kit, well, you know what, overall, I don't think it's a bad kit whatsoever. I know it has its shortfalls, which I will cover, but for the pros, it's going to be super tall. It's going to have a lot of shelf presence, which I think is really cool. It's going to tower over most of your high grades, so yeah, it's going to have that, you know, that wow and eye-catching factor, which, you know, I think most shelves really need. And having some kits that are more on the smaller scale, that are non-detailed, you know, they're just going to be in the corner. But this is going to be in the forefront of your collection, just dominating the shelf. Otherwise, the other pros, I would say it's going to have a lot of raised details, so not as much etched in stuff like panel lines, but it's definitely going to have just some of that surface, kind of, I would say, blocky panels, so that way you can mask that off and color in some different colors, just to kind of give it a little more part separation. But that's only if you're going to be painting. If you're not painting, I mean, maybe even try and use some Gundam markers on it. If you're not going to use Gundam markers, I mean, it still looks good. But with all that black, it's going to look a little more plain, and all those details will be a little hidden. So maybe you just put forth that little extra effort, so that way you can make those you know, features and details pop a little bit more. Also, as I would say with pros, it's going to have a really decent backpack gimmick, and I was thinking about putting that in the cons, but honestly, it functions fairly well. You just gotta kind of mess with it a little bit here and there and get used to it. Is it practical? Not really. However, it's still gonna look really good, especially something like this where it's in motion. You know it's about to actually slap on that arm and pop off the other one, so if you want to use effect parts, cool, give it that little extra depth of feel. But, you know, I think it's still a great feature nonetheless. So also with the price point, it's not going to be too expensive, roughly around like 25 to 2,800 yen. So a little bit higher than the average high grade, but this is a bit bigger than the average high grade. So I think the price point and what you get in the box is actually going to balance out fairly well. Maybe one of the cons I could definitely throw in there is going to be the lack of accessories. So one would think that the extra 4 arms is going to be the accessories. I just think that's a part of the suit itself, not necessarily accessories. But it is going to have 3 extra different hands. So you're going to have the 2 basic hands that can hold the beam saber, even though it's supposed to have a beam saber. It's going to be on the side skirts or in the side parts of the legs. But you're not actually going to get any beam sabers or beam saber hilts with the kit itself. So kind of sucks, but you can always just grab some that are extra in your backlog and throw it with the kit. But you are going to have those hands. You're going to have the open hands, and you're also going to have the trigger finger hand for the Magnum. But other than that, I mean, it's really cool. I love the colors. I think maybe it just really needs to be enhanced with some, just a little bit of detail paint. But that's pretty much it. So I don't really have much else I can say about this kit, except for if you really do want it, it's definitely a worthwhile purchase. If you don't want it, I do feel you're not really missing out. Like, if you already have your mindset that you don't have any interest in this kit, then just don't get it. But otherwise, if you have a slight interest in it, that you think it might be pretty good and, you know, pretty nice to have on your shelf, I would say take the plunge, purchase it, and you will not be disappointed. But that's all for me, guys. Definitely thank you for watching, and, you know, just check out HobbyLink Japan for more videos, reviews, and everything in the news. So I'll see y'all guys later. Bye-bye.